Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
Once again on Beach FM, we welcome the Mayor of the Horowhenua, Bernie Wanden. Good morning, Bernie. How are you?
I'm well, thank you, John.
And after the earthquake, I imagine you had quite a busy day.
Yes, look, a very interesting start to the morning on Monday. First of all, getting through a shape that certainly gave us quite a shock, to be honest. But then being probably the most sought-out person for the next half an hour in New Zealand as I dealt with a number of media outlets and different people to talk about it. Reassuring that we didn't have too much of an impact here, that damage was minor relatively to the extent of the earthquake, because it was certainly a good shape, as you no doubt would have felt.
Well, I certainly did. So did the ornaments in our household. We lost a few, but that appears to be the extent of the damage. You know, a few cans falling off shelves, but nothing of any great note, as I understand it. Is that correct?
It is correct. I think we were lucky that it was relatively deep, so that, the impact and the way it shook. I don't know how earthquakes work, but I'd imagine the way it shook was probably, helped in that situation as well. But you're right. All the indications are that the damage was minor. Certainly all the infrastructure and the buildings, relating to council have had no impact at all. One of the things we were worried about was the Gladstone Road issue. We've got a bit of unstable land up there, but there doesn't seem to have been any impact there either, which is so far so good.
Excellent, just wonderful. And in a way, this points out the need for building standards, because that was a substantial shake, and the fact that there was so little damage means that our buildings have held up rather well. And that's the point of the standards, isn't it?
Look, it is, but certainly gives us, thought for the future as well. That, while this was, a moderately to heavy earthquake, when we get bigger ones, we need to ensure that our buildings are safe. And that's why, we're working through that earthquake-prone policy that the government put out, and there is a need for buildings to be, make sure that they are sort of a lot more safer, because these things, unfortunately, will happen from time to time.
Oh, yes. We live in the shaky isles, and that has been proved recently. Have you got any comment to make about the recent relaxation the government announced on carports and sleep-outs, smaller buildings? Certainly the building code has to be observed, but it appears that some of the bureaucracy has been taken out of that.
Yeah, look, it seems a common sense approach to me that they are not being as, people don't need to be as compliant or get that tick off from consenting officers around those sorts of buildings. I hope, though, that it doesn't mean that people think that they can willy-nilly go and build, unsafe structures or just put things up haphazardly. Because that will only cause more problems. But I suspect that what's been happening in the past is that people have been doing things unknown to council because they don't want to go through that compliance type of issue, and that, the black economy, if you like, is what we often refer to, has only been, part of that as well. So, it does seem like a good common sense approach.
Now, the other thing that's happened, and it's also shaken us, is COVID-19. I imagine this has caused an enormous amount of work. The annual plan must be a particularly difficult one to draw together this time.
It certainly is. And officers and elected members are sort of, busy away. Every day changes. There are challenges to every expenditure line in our budgets, as you can imagine. There is the dilemma of, sort of what we do in terms of levels of service, what we do in terms of maintenance, Certainly the words essential and making sure that they are absolutely needed are very top of mind at the moment. But balancing that with the need to be able to provide those expected levels of service and to ensure that we do contribute and stimulate the local economy the best way we can as well. Look, just as an aside, following on from that, look, all the reports that we are getting from, organisations, businesses, even the town, we do seem to be coming out of this reasonably well. I think we are lucky that the diversity of our economy in terms of not having too much hospitality or tourism contributing towards our economy is actually proving a benefit at this stage. The word I'm hearing, and it's only anecdotal, is that the businesses are actually quite busy. Hearing things like Turk's Poultry have actually put on 30 extra staff over the last couple of months to make sure that they can cope with the extra demands that they're having. So there are sort of some, little positive signs out there as well, which is great to hear.
No doubt about that, and we have to thank the people on the land, the primary industries. Remarkable to see last month that we had a record trade surplus. So during this lockdown, the people on the land were carrying on doing their wonderful service to the country and the economy, and that was going overseas. The primary product's still going overseas. But so as you say, the diversity in our economy could well be very important as we go through some very difficult years to come.
Oh, look, there's no doubt the impacts of this will continue for some years, and it's probably how quickly we can get back to some sort of normality. Not that we'll ever be quite normal again, but the reality is that hopefully without the growth that we were already experiencing and the fact that we do have that diversity in our economy, that we are sort of food-based, production-wise and things like that, that we won't necessarily be as affected as some others will. Look, I certainly feel that are in the tourism or the hospitality and even some retail and small business areas, will no doubt be considerably impacted. But overall, we're reasonably positive and optimistic that the impacts won't be too huge here.
Great stuff. Great to hear you with the optimistic attitude that we appreciate. Bernie Wanden, Mayor of the Horowhenua, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, John.
106.3 Beach FM.